the fire horse as an energy, as an archetype, as an honest metaphor for grief. If you look at it, think about what it's like to get on a horse that's moving faster than you expected, one that you cannot control. Grief is like that. You cannot outrun it. You cannot think your way past it. You have to get on and ride it.
You just lost your loved one. Now what? Welcome to the Grief and Life podcast, where we explore this new reality through grief-colored lenses. Openly, authentically, I'm your host, Nina Rodriguez. Let's get started.
Hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today is February 17th, and right now we are sitting inside one of the most energetically charged portals of the year, maybe even of the decade. I know that might sound like a little bit of woo-woo talk, and maybe you are someone who doesn't follow any of that. That's okay. Stay with me, because whether or not you believe, what today holds is something that we can all feel energetically. My name is Nina Rodriguez, and I am your host. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. This podcast lives at the intersection of grief and everything that is bigger than grief and how it intertwines with our daily life. Today's episode is a solo one, and I want to talk about the intersection of grief and this very specific moment in time that we are all moving through together. Grief is often called a journey, but what if it's actually more like riding this fire horse? What if grief, at its most honest, is learning to ride something that is bigger, faster, and less controlled than you thought you could handle? So hold that image, because today marks the year of the fire horse, which is a metaphor in a way that holds so much. What's happening, it's not just one thing, it's three things braided together. Number one, we're entering the year of the fire horse. We're leaving the year of the wood snake behind. And this particular combination, fire and horse, comes around only every 60 years. The last time we lived a fire horse year was 1966. It was a landmark year for cultural, political, and technological shifts. It was the peak of the Beatles and the escalation of the Vietnam War. And before I keep going, I'm not an astrologist. This is not my wheelhouse. These are things that I've read and I'm putting together. I'm stringing them together in this episode because I saw a pattern of how this all links with grief. Everything that I'm stating in terms of cosmology, all the sources will be cited in the show notes so you can see where I got this information. So in Chinese cosmology, the horse is a symbol of freedom, forward motion, and vitality. It has feet on the earth, but its eyes are always focused on the horizon. Fire is passion, visibility, transformation. Fire illuminates what's been hiding in the shadows. Chinese astrologers describe the fire horse as one of the most potent, fast-moving, uncompromising energies in the entire zodiac cycle. It rewards those who act with courage and integrity, and it punishes, it's kind of like a harsh word, but it does not like hesitation and stagnation. One framing that I came across that described this transition from last year's snake to this year's horse, it described it this way. The snake spent 12 months in the shadows, shedding, processing, revealing what was hidden. And if you are paying even the slightest bit of attention to our news cycle, you could tell that so much that has existed for so long is being revealed. It's being brought to light. And that can be harsh. A lot of us say we want truth, but then when we're faced with the truth, is very shocking. And yet we have to see it for what it is. Grief can feel like that. A year or many years of quiet, inside internal work that nobody on the outside can see. The fire horse says, okay, you've done the work. Now the track is open. That said, some of us may not feel ready to gallop. Maybe you're still at the beginning, at the thick of it, in the early days of grief. Maybe your person died 8 months ago or less, or 8 years ago, and it still feels like it was yesterday. I hear you, and I want to hold that truth alongside this energy, not instead of it. I often say grief is not this or that, it's this and that. So we're operating in the and. because I don't think that the fire horse is asking you to be done grieving or to leave things behind or move faster than your grief. If anything, it's asking us to grieve with more fire. The second thing is the solar eclipse in Aquarius. And again, sources are cited in the show notes. The new moon annular solar eclipse, to be precise, is in the sign of Aquarius. And this is what astrologers called, quote unquote, the ring of fire eclipse. The moon doesn't fully block the sun, but it sits centered in front of it, leaving a blazing ring of light around its edge. In Western astrology, solar eclipses interrupt the ordinary cycle of new moons and supercharge whatever intention you set beneath them. The energy doesn't just last for a day, it initiates a cycle that carries forward up to 6 months. So, whatever energy we're feeling today will carry through the next 6 months. And this particular eclipse in Aquarius, the sign of community, of collective awakening, of future, of what we're building together beyond our individual selves. Aquarius rules the tribe, the chosen family, the people who gather around grief because they understand it in their being. So here's what that means for us. The eclipse is cracking something open in how we relate to each other. And in the context of grief, how we relate to our grief community. It's asking what new chapter begins for you, not just you individually, but with the others who hold your loss alongside you. These could be your chosen friends, family, your grief community, or just how you relate to the world at large. The third piece is that Mercury has moved into Pisces, which makes our words more intuitive. Mercury is, in my understanding, the language of communication. It's less about getting it perfect and more about getting it out. And right now, Mercury is connecting with Jupiter, the benefic planet, in a way that amplifies whatever we say. In other words land harder. Quiet truths travel further. For grievers, for example, this matters because grief is so often the thing we cannot find words for. The loss that sits in our chest because we do not know how to describe it. We just don't know what to say or even what we're feeling sometimes. So today, on this eclipse, with the planetary alignments and all the things I said before, it's an invitation to say it anyway, imperfectly, as it shows up, honestly. Speak their name, say the thing, let imperfect words come forward. So, with all that being said, what do grief and the fire horse have in common? The fire horse as an energy, as an archetype. This is all symbolism that carries energies with it in ways that we can collectively understand. So, the fire horse is an honest metaphor for grief. If you look at it, think about what it's like to get on a horse that is moving faster than you expected. You cannot stop it with your hands. You cannot think your way out of the speed. And you have two choices. You either clench up, resist, and fall off, or you find your center, you trust your body, and you align yourself with the ride. Grief is like that. You cannot outrun it. I always say grief is patient. It'll be there waiting for you. You cannot think your way past it. You have to get on and ride it. The fire horse is bold and fast, and sometimes it can be terrifying. And grief is not gentle either. It is disruptive, world altering, and it rewrites the map of how we show up in the world. So who cares? What does this have to do with me or you? So I believe that the mystical is most useful when it is specific and grounded. Maybe you've heard some of the interviews that I've done, but a lot of this spiritual understanding helped me get through the early days of grief, especially, and I've come full circle. I went all the way spiritual and mystical, and then I came back to the fact that at the end of the day, being human is the most important experience that we could lean into right now. So let me offer you 4 concrete ways to work with today's energy individually. Number 1, it could be naming your loss out loud. What are you feeling? What are you feeling individually or collectively? This can look like saying who and what you lost. Like, name it out loud. It's the person, your pet, but what else did you lose? Was it a sense of security, a sense of identity, your finances, the future you imagined, the version of yourself they once knew, your inside jokes, the ordinary Tuesdays? Say all of this out loud it could be literally out loud in a room, in your car. It could be written. Whatever it is, just say it because this energy supports you in holding this truth. Another thing could be Write a letter of everything left unsaid. What seeds can you plant today, if you will, energetically, that will bloom over the next 6 months? Write a letter of the things you never got to say. Write that apology that you've been needing that you never received. Don't edit, just honor whatever comes out intuitively. That's going to be the message in its truest form. And then you can choose to burn it, bury it, keep it, send it to someone, or whatever it is you want to. But the point is to express it, to write it, to say it, to put it outside of your mind and body. The third thing could be to set one grief intention for the next 6 months. Ask yourself, what do I want my relationship with this grief to look like by August? Not, I want to be over it, but something more aligned with the nature of the reality of grief. For example, I want to find a community where I don't have to explain myself every single time. I want to return to one thing that I used to love. I want to say their name and feel more than just sorrow. That type of energy, that type of expression, this energy will be supportive in that as well. The last thing would be to harness the energy of the fire horse's courage, right? The fire horse punishes stagnation. If there's one thing that feels stuck around your grief, like a conversation you can't get past, a piece of your loved one's belonging that you just can't let go of, a part of yourself that you've locked away, choose one, whatever that is for you, and take one step towards it today. You don't have to feel ready. Just trust that in facing it, you will be supported. Now, a lot of this energy that I'm talking about, the reason it's so significant aside from the symbolism is because we're feeling changes in the collective. I think whether you believe in the stuff or not, at the end of the day, we feel the changes collectively. So what perhaps you feel most palpable today may not be individual. It may be that collective energy, which makes sense because Aquarius is the sign of the collective. It is the sign that says your healing is connected to my healing. You do not have to carry this alone. What you hide because you fear it's too much is the very thing someone else in this community needs to see. This energy can be an opportunity, even within our grief communities, for support groups that have lost their way, or for friendships that went quiet after a funeral, for families that stopped talking to the person who left because it hurts too much. This time is saying that door can be open again, and it will be different when it does. So some ways to mark this day and this time collectively could be like send a message to someone that has been on your mind, someone that you've been meaning to reach out to. Go ahead and do it. Share your grief publicly if you've never done so. That's a big one. That one can feel a little daunting. And I know it's not easy to be vulnerable, but this energy is exactly this, and you will be supported through it. Let me ask you, what happens when we bring our private pain into the community? When we stop performing quote unquote fine, like, oh, everything's fine, I'm fine, and offer our realness and our honesty to the people around us. The fire horse rewards authenticity. Now, I want to pause and speak directly to you if you are in the early or raw stages of loss, if your grief is brand new, if you're still in a place where you wake up and have half a second before it all hits you like a bucket of ice water. The fire horse is not asking you to gallop, not yet. The tradition itself acknowledges this. In Chinese medicine, practitioners are advising that the fire horse years require care for what they call burning your essence, the danger of overdoing, of letting urgency replace wisdom, of letting intensity become depletion. So for those of you in early grief, your nervous system already feels like it's on fire, if you will. The invitation for you is not to gallop, but simply to feel the warmth of the flame without letting it consume you. To know that the energy of this day exists and that you can draw on it as gently or as boldly as you need. Hold the image of a butterfly, for example, emerging from the chrysalis in your mind. The transformation that happened inside of the cocoon without the butterfly technically doing anything, that messy middle is still that transformation. And it is a profound transformation, a profound change that often happens in the hidden, quiet places. You do not have to burst out of the cocoon today, but you might feel for the first time that the walls around you have softened. So just know that change doesn't have to be overt or loud. It could be very private as well. So how do we carry the meaning of this energetic space forward? We are living in this convergence today, the first fire horse year in 60 years, the first solar eclipse in Aquarius since 2018, a new moon, which is always marking a new beginning, Mercury making our words alchemical, Jupiter, the benefic planet, expanding whatever we put into the world, and underneath all of that, beneath all the cosmic jargon, it's just us. It's humans, grievers, people who loved someone or something and had it taken, or people who experienced life-altering change. Those of us who are still here, moving forward as we seek light in loss and a way forward. The fire horse does not promise ease, but it does promise momentum, movement. And what it offers is fire. And fire is two things at once. It destroys and it illuminates. It burns away what no longer serves us, and it lights a path forward. And today the universe lit a very big fire. I would love to know if this message resonates. I know this episode was a little different than the other ones. If it did resonate, I'd love to hear from you. Until next episode.
That's it for today's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Grief and Light podcast. I'd also love to connect with you and hear your thoughts and your stories. Feel free to share them with me via my Instagram page at Grief and Light, or you can also visit griefandlight.com for more information and updates. Thank you so much for being here, for being you, and always remember, you are not alone.